If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe to the channel before the video starts. The sky burned orange as the explorer stepped out of his small shuttle. The jungle stretched endlessly, thick and dark, with strange glowing plants that pulsed like hearts. Every sound seemed alive, the rustle of leaves, distant growls, and whispers of wind through alien trees. He had never seen a place like this. As he took his first careful steps, the ground beneath him seemed soft but alive, moving slightly, almost breathing. He shivered. Something was watching him. The explorer's heart raced. He had come for research, but this planet felt dangerous. Suddenly, a shadow moved between the giant ferns. He froze. The shadow grew larger, faster, until a figure stepped into the dim light. She was tall, strong, yet beautiful. Her skin shimmered with green and gold, and her eyes glowed like amber flames. The air around her seemed to hum with power. The Jungle Queen. He had heard legends of alien rulers, but nothing prepared him for this. Before he could speak, she raised her hand, and a voice echoed inside his mind. "You have entered my domain. You have one choice. Become my mate, or be consumed." The explorer staggered back, his mouth dry. Consumed? What did that mean? The trees around him seemed to lean closer, watching. The glowing plants flickered, like they were hungry. Fear tightened around his chest, but curiosity forced him to stay. He tried to run. Branches whipped at him, thick vines wrapped around his legs, pulling him back. The jungle itself fought him. Every step was a struggle, every breath a battle. He looked up, she was there again, floating slightly above the ground, watching him with those piercing eyes. "You cannot escape," she whispered inside his mind. "The jungle feeds on those who resist." The explorer's mind raced. He remembered stories of adventurers who had disappeared on alien worlds. Their screams had never been heard. Some said the jungle itself devoured them, leaving nothing behind. And now he understood why. He stumbled into a clearing, gasping for air. Strange creatures emerged from the shadows, half insect, half plant, their eyes glowing. They didn't attack immediately, but they circled him, waiting, testing. He realized the queen had sent them to see his reaction, to see if he was worthy, or weak. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The vines lifted themselves, reaching toward him like giant hands. The creatures hissed. The explorer had no weapon, no chance, except to trust his wits. From above, the queen's voice returned, calm but terrifying. "Decide now. Become mine, or let the jungle take you." He froze again. His mind screamed for answers, for escape, for survival. The jungle seemed to close in on him from every side, alive and watching. And above all, the jungle queen's amber eyes burned into his soul, waiting for his answer. The explorer knew one thing: tonight, he would learn the jungle's secret, or he would not leave it alive. The jungle was alive, more alive than the explorer had ever imagined. Every step he took seemed to echo through the glowing trees, as if the forest itself was whispering secrets. But it wasn't just the trees, tiny glowing eyes watched him from every shadow, and strange rustling followed his every move. He stumbled into a narrow clearing, heart pounding. The ground under his feet vibrated like it had a pulse. Then, from above, a voice echoed, soft, yet commanding. "Welcome to my test." The jungle queen appeared, her figure gliding between the massive ferns. Her eyes, like molten gold, studied him carefully. "If you wish to survive," she said, "you must prove your worth. Fail, and the jungle will consume you." Before he could speak, the ground beneath him shifted violently. Vines sprang up from the earth, twisting and curling, forming a wall that separated him from the queen. His chest tightened. The test had begun. The first challenge was simple to hear but impossible to predict. He needed to cross a section of jungle that seemed ordinary, yet every step was dangerous. The trees moved like living creatures, branches snapping at him. Glowing flowers opened and closed, releasing spores that made him dizzy. Shadows shifted, creating illusions of creatures lunging at him. He ran, dodging, leaping, heart hammering. At one point, he fell, and a huge vine shot out, nearly wrapping around him. With a desperate twist, he freed himself, lungs burning. The queen watched silently, almost amused. Clever, but only the first trial, she whispered inside his mind. The second test was even stranger. The jungle opened into ruins, ancient structures overgrown with alien vines. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, forming a puzzle. The explorer realized he needed to solve it to open a path forward. Every second counted. The vines from the first trial were still moving, following him, tightening the jungle's grip. He touched the symbols, trying combinations. The walls seemed to watch him, shifting slightly when he made a wrong move. A wrong answer, and he knew, would trigger something far worse than vines or illusions. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he moved faster, intuition guiding him more than thought. Finally, with a click, the puzzle shifted, revealing a glowing path forward. He exhaled, barely relieved. But the queen's voice returned, echoing through his mind, colder this time, the final choice approaches. Will you be brave, or be consumed? The explorer looked up. The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Glowing eyes stared from every shadow, and even the wind had stopped. He realized that every step had been preparing him for the ultimate decision. And the queen, she was waiting, patient, terrifying, unstoppable. Darkness hung heavy over the jungle, but it wasn't the night that made the air feel alive, it was the queen. She hovered above a glowing clearing, her presence bending the shadows around her. The explorer's chest tightened, every instinct screamed that this was the final moment. Decide, her voice thundered inside his mind, soft yet inescapable. Become mine, or face the jungle's hunger. The ground shook violently. Vines erupted from the earth like serpents, twisting and writhing, as glowing-eyed creatures crawled from the shadows. The explorer realized that every trial he had faced before, the living vines, the puzzle, the illusions, had been only preparation for this. Now, there was no escape. He clenched his fists, searching for a way to survive. The queen's eyes bore into his soul. She wasn't just a ruler of the jungle, she was part of it. Every tree, every plant, every shadow obeyed her. And yet, there was a strange pull, a curiosity, even a strange admiration he couldn't explain. The queen descended closer, her gaze sharp, almost intimate. This is your final choice, she whispered, her voice almost tender but edged with danger. Surrender, or be consumed. The explorer's mind raced. Fight and die. Or surrender and live, in a world he didn't understand, bound to a power he couldn't control? He glanced at the jungle around him, alive, pulsing, watching. The glowing creatures edged closer, their hiss soft but threatening. He remembered every trial, every narrow escape, every choice that had brought him here. And then, in a sudden surge of instinct, he did something no one expected, he stepped forward. Not running, not fighting, but forward, facing the queen without fear. The jungle seemed to pause. The vines froze mid-air. The creatures stopped their advance. The queen tilted her head, studying him. Slowly, a smile curved her lips, beautiful, terrifying, powerful. Courage, or madness, she murmured, more to herself than to him. Then, her eyes blazed brighter, and the jungle pulsed with energy. The explorer felt a strange warmth, a connection he couldn't explain. The queen extended her hand, and he understood, he had chosen, to join, to accept, to become part of her world. The jungle exhaled as if it had been holding its breath. Vines retreated, shadows softened, and the glowing creatures disappeared into the trees. The queen's power surrounded him, not threatening, but binding. He had survived, but nothing would ever be the same. And in the quiet after the storm, her voice lingered, the jungle waits, and one day, it will call again. The explorer looked around, awe and fear mingling in his chest. He had survived the Jungle Queen's ultimatum, but the jungle's mysteries were far from over.